Okay, I'm going to show you how to create a new Rails project on Site5, basically a website completely from scratch to get you up and running in just 21 easy steps. Alright, so my website is caseyonrails.com. That's just my generic blog I have. I live in Kansas City and I'm active in the Rails community, or trying to be. Alright, so I have a reseller account, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new account. And we're going to use a fake domain, simpsonsuperfly.com, and password of purple123. And I've set up simpsonsuperfly.com in my hosts file on my system. That's why I didn't need to register the domain just for this tutorial. So we'll go ahead and create our new account. Alright, that step took about 2 minutes, but I spared you by pausing the screen capture. We're going to go ahead and log into our site. Into port 2082. This will get us into cPanel. You need to go down to your MySQL databases, and we're going to create a database called dev, and a user called dev. And you're going to notice that both of these have our username of our project appended to them, Simpsons. So, just so you're aware. And then we're going to add this user to this database. I give all permissions just to not get too complex, and because you have to be on the local host anyway to be able to access it. So now we have some simple instructions for Perl and PHP, but we don't need those. So now we're going to go ahead and log in. Alright, here's our base directory structure. We're going to go ahead and create our Rails application. Alright, and we're going to walk in there. Now we are going to make some database changes. Oops. Okay, there we go. Back up to speed. We are now in our project directory. We're going to go ahead and set up our database parameters in here. Remember, our database name is actually Simpsons Dev, and the same with our username. And our password was purple123. Now we're going to go ahead and make our public directory world executable. Now what we're doing is enabling fast CGI. Regular CGI is too slow, and fast CGI is the best option that Site5 currently has. So that's all we need to do there is just add that F. And one last thing we're going to do in the public directory is remove the default index file. Otherwise that'll cover up the one we create later. Now we need to generate a model. So we're just going to do create a default user with a name parameter, or a name attribute. There we go. Now we're going to go in there and add a default user. There we are. Now we're going to migrate our database. Alright, so that went well. Now we're going to go ahead and generate a controller. A user's controller with one default action that's called index. And now we're going to go ahead and go into our controller. And we're just going to make it pick the default user. There we go. We're going to go into our view now. get rid of those default lines, and just create our basic hello message. There we go. Can you guess what it's going to say? I bet you can. Alright, so we've created our special message. Now we're going to make this the default controller, so that when you open the Rails project, this is the controller that's going to show. This is going to be the home page. So we have to edit our routes table, our routes file. And we're just going to add the default controller right here. We could just as easily add a default action or a default ID if we wanted to, but you usually don't. Now we're going to back out of our home directory, or our project directory. Take a look at this again. We have public HTML. That's the file we need to get rid of. So we're going to go ahead and move that for now, instead of getting rid of it altogether. Oops. There we go. We've changed that directory, and now you notice that we have a red www because it doesn't have anywhere to point. So we're going to go ahead and fix that right now. What we've just done, now we fixed that, we've created a new public HTML, and what it does is it points to our project directory, and it points to the public file within that project directory. And that's why we had to type out, notice, the entire path name to it. We couldn't just get away with a relative link here. So we've done that. Why don't we go ahead and switch back for the moment of truth and type in simpsonsuperfly.com. It says server cannot be found. You know why? Because we misspelled it. And eventually we'll get it right. There we go. So FastCGI does take a while to load up on its first run, and there we have our hello world. There we are.